Hey y'all, y'all come in. Welcome to the Red Room. Red Room, somewhere you can relax and play catch up with your contents. Okay. Now I want to get into. I want to start. First of all, I want to say everything that I say in this video is allegedly. Okay. I really want to talk a hit on until I get some scoop about Michael Miller. Some more scoop about Michael Miller. I will let y'all know. But here's a little update that I have on Michael Miller. Okay. Before this happened to Michael Miller, she had served her husband, not her husband no more. She had served him with divorce papers, y'all, 48 hours earlier. That's all he had to tell the congregation. But that's not what he told the congregation. I want to share that announcement that he made to the church. And he made Michael look bad a numerous time in that church. And that should have questioned everybody. Don't y'all get, and you know what? I'm not gonna say this. I believe in the Lord, but I don't believe everything people say. I can pray at home. I was ran from the church when I heard somebody arguing. They was fussing and stuff in the church, and I couldn't believe that was going on. So we're gonna get into. I'm not gonna even call him pastor. I'm not gonna call him. I'm gonna say John Paul Miller. John Paul Miller is a South Carolina pastor. Let me see how can I put it. John Paul Miller is an alleged South Carolina pastor. He announced to his congregation that his wife, Michael, had taken her own life. But her friends and family want more information about that, okay? About what happened in that bizarre moment. How could you stand in front of the congregation and tell them that your wife, you know, did this to herself, self-induced, and said she wasn't well mentally? Mentally, really? That man did not want to see that woman happy, y'all. If she couldn't be happy with him, trust me, she wasn't going to be happy at all. He traced that girl everywhere she went. Everywhere she went, he traced her. Listen to this, and then we're going. I'm going to show y'all a video.
I got a call late last night. My wife has passed away, and it was self-induced. We're gonna have a funeral for her next Sunday here at 3 p.m. Is all I can get.
Listen to the voice.
Going adrenaline right now. My request to you is that you will continue to come to church and serve and give.
Yeah. Y'all, don't pay me no attention. Them don't be laugh. I be tripping. I be tripping. Hey, y'all make sure y'all, hey, in other words, hey, y'all make sure y'all come to church, continue to come to church because I need y'all money. Without y'all money, I won't be able to keep flying and all these jets all over the world and pimping everybody, you know. Golly, gotta be careful. Y'all gotta do y'all research on these people who y'all letting in these churches, man. That church had plenty of money. Plenty of money. Now, John Paul Miller, former associate, says he's not the man I thought he was. Y'all couldn't see through that man. Don't you know sometimes you can see through something? And then is Mica your friend? Mica didn't have nobody to stand up for her, to speak out for her. And what in a situation like this, they'll keep you from your family. Now, let's hear from his former friend. Okay.
First at 11, more tonight from our exclusive interview with Bernard Kinnerson, a former pastor at Solid Rock Church.
In a wide-ranging conversation, Kinnerson talks for the first time publicly about the days following Mica Miller's death, discovering John Paul Miller's documented abuse of Mica, and the future of the church as he sees it.
I got a phone call at 11:13 on Saturday night that Mica had passed. I remember one of the first things I said was, "This is bad. This is bad, really bad."
Former Solid Rock pastor Bernard Kinnerson says John Paul Miller went to preach the morning after his wife, Mica Miller, died by suicide. Instead, a church assistant told Kinnerson to write a message to be read to the congregation.
And then it was about 7 minutes later, I got a text that said, "Well, he's going to go ahead and preach in the morning, but I ahead and have a message ready."
In the days after Mica's death, disturbing details came out about John Paul's documented abuse of her, including putting GPS trackers on her car, slashing her tires, and posting an explicit photo of her online. A week after Mica's death, Kinnerson made the hard decision to leave Solid Rock.
I mean, we were led to believe that all of this was coming from Mica and her mental illness, and not being on her meds, that she'd been on this long psychotic, episode. And it was just a big eye-opener to me that he wasn't the...
People, y'all got to see through stuff. Y'all got, what you think ain't true, ain't true. They ain't nobody saved that girl. Nobody saved that girl. Nobody. No one recognized signs. Nobody saved that girl. Regardless of what coming out his mouth.
The man that I thought he was. I have been physically sick and emotionally sick. I've lost like 12 pounds in the last few weeks. It's going to be hard for me to get involved with another church after this experience. Now, it's my wife and I. We're on sabbatical right now and just, taking some time to heal and recover from this, because I'm reeling from this.
Kinnerson says he was never involved in church finances. For much of his time there, he worked for free or on a small stipend, a point that wasn't lost on him when the church bought a $429,000 Cirrus SR-22 private plane, much like the one pictured here.
And that was really hurtful to me, because oh, we can do this deal that's going to be done about this plane, but I can't get, paid as a pastor. The plane was going to serve the purpose of him going around and talking at churches.
I think that's what they really intended.
At this point, I couldn't say.
Though Solid Rock's assets add up to just over $5.5 million, Kinnerson says
$5.5 million. But then you flying around in a $5.5 million plane, but then you don't want to pay nobody to work around it. Church.
Membership is down drastically from a high of about 700 to now less than 50. He has doubts about the church's future, including a $1 million plan to build a new church and a tuition-based school.
I don't see how it could move forward without, changing the name, changing everything. I don't see how it can go forward.
Y'all better change that name. Better get rid of him and change that name. But some people be so involved into their religion until they just don't see no wrong. They don't want to see no wrong. They still want to hear his words.
Businesses as usual. This isn't like would be portrayed. This isn't some attack from the enemy, attack from Satan, attack from just some people that, got mad and left the church. It's full on. I believe. I'll just say it.
They need to sue him. Don't let that man get away with this. Don't let that man get away with this. Everybody need to sue him to get your money back, because that's your hard-earned living. That's why I believe in the Lord. I always tell my mama, I don't believe in putting on tithe up in no church. I don't want to get nobody half of my, some part of my earning. Why? And I can put money in church. I'll just be a member.
I believe it's the judgment of God coming down.
You heard what he said? He believe it's a judgment of God coming. Y'all tell me what y'all think. I'm not gonna hold y'all up on that, 'cause I gotta. I'll be back live, y'all, in a few minutes, and so I gotta start on my other content. I've been taking a nap. Oh Lord, what y'all think, man? This is too much for me. This is too much for me, because then nobody. I think about that girl, because think about Mica, because nobody. She had to pretend to be happy, and I guess Michael used to wonder, why is he coming? Why is everywhere I go, I keep seeing him? Why is he popping up? Why, Mike? I hate that happened to that baby, that young girl. She's Shemp's age, one of my daughters. And then she had to put on a show to make folk believe that she was happy, and he was making her look mentally crazy. She ain't never had no kind of health problem. Y'all, anytime you ain't never had no health problem, I'm gonna educate y'all for a minute. If you ain't never, it go for the men's too. And you ain't never in your life had no kind of problem going on with you, you sneak and see that doctor. You sneak and see a doctor. Hey, baby, what's up, kiddo? You sneak and get help and seek help quick, because you ain't been having no problems. You ain't been having no mental problem. Why all of a sudden you pop up with mental problem? Ain't nothing wrong with Michael. He's scared that somebody ever gonna take what he had. That's why he took her out of him. He was afraid that what he had since she was 10, she wasn't gonna get out of this marriage, y'all. That easy. Michael wasn't gonna get out of this marriage that easy, y'all. No, she wasn't. Golly. And then nobody see no sign to get that girl out of help. Get no help. What I'm thinking about, I wonder why she didn't tell her family what was going on. Wonder why did she tell him? I wonder, did she tell him or what? Now they got a prosecutioner in there, a prosecution team refer, and to say, y'all. I'm just shocked. Let me see right here. Hold on for a minute, y'all. Let me find out about this. Who is this woman gonna take? Hold on for a minute. How y'all doing today? Real deal. Let me see. Boy, they better don't get in that. Don't get in that though. All right, don't get in that coat and think cause he look kind of cute and he a criminal. He a criminal. Y'all, they can't be getting these preachers, these pastors from nobody. Anybody can be a preacher. Anybody can pretend like they know the words. What he got an airplane for? What he got a jet plane, $1 million jet plane for? Then now he got insurance on her, allegedly. Okay, y'all, let me see something right quick. Hold on for a minute. All right, y'all, I guess that's all the update I have. I was trying to see did they have hold on, y'all. New court filing. All right, y'all. If I get any update on any other update on Michael, because I really want to keep up with this story. I didn't even put the hell on, y'all. Girl, we young, but I don't know how come, I don't understand how I went this far without her getting help. You know what I mean? I just don't know. I don't know how this got this far. Let me see, hold on. Hold on, yeah, hold on. I don't have a new update. They ain't got no new update, y'all. Y'all, I'll be here. Let me get out right here. I'll be back later on, y'all. Wait a minute. Let me see something. Let me see something. Now, y'all already seen the one when the dad knew something ain't right. The dad, the sister, and they also asked FBI to step in, you know, with Michael Miller. And also, I want to talk a little bit, give y'all a little update on another little trial that I did that I'm doing. Oh boy. God, didn't nobody see that girl need help. Man, that is golly. I could listen to him. Oh my God. That baby needed some help. Okay, y'all. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm about to start on my okay, we gonna start on our for those who wanna leave, since we done talking about, I just want to come in and give y'all a little update on Michael, I'm sorry. So we want to thank y'all for doing that segment, the reaction. So now we want to get into my boy Thugga. I'm a Thugga, young Thugga. People come on in. You know, Michael fans, Miller fans. Thank you for joining us, and you can go back and catch it live from the beginning. It's so much I want to say about Michael, but I don't want to get into it that much like that, y'all. Trying to respect what comes out my mouth, since this is Google Tube, YouTube. Okay, I got to respect them. So we're gonna get into our Young Thugger YSL Rico Trial Day 81. We're gonna have still got detectives trying to find out who shot and killed the nut, and they trying to say that Young Thugger did it. That neighborhood right there, y'all, where they are. Wait, Northside Drive and Matt Daniel, place to be. It before Young Thug them. So let's get into it, y'all. Oh yeah, Northside Drive. Shh, been bad all their life, and I've been here 65 years since I was a baby. But I know how to be in those areas, with some of the grown people, and nothing like that happen. You just have to know how to walk the ground in certain areas of Atlanta. Everybody can't come in all section of Atlanta. You can't come over there acting a certain way. You got to move a certain way in certain part of Atlanta. And they can't say it's still not like that. It's still like that. So, hold on, y'all. Let me push this a little bit. Trying to see what's going on.
Gentlemen, Mr. Williams, Mr. Steele, Mr. Adams, good morning. All right. Mr. Kendrick and Mr. Weinstein, good morning. Morning. All right, Mr. Huey and Mr. Matthew Sr., good morning. All right, Mr. Nichols, Mr. Garner, good morning, sir. All right, Mr. Ryan and Misty Williams, good morning. All right.
Good morning, Anna.
We have, let's see, Mr. Yahelski. Has it been that long? Ms. Hilton. Mr. Atkins. Mr. Atkins, good morning. Okay, all right, okay. I'm sorry? Mr. Brown, good morning. All right, okay. Ms. Knight. Good morning. All right, and Ms.
Show that put on chapstick, boy.
Good morning. All right, and Mr. Kokomo, good morning. All right.
Can't wait to get my hair braided. We cut them dreads out.
Okay, before, are all jurors present, Lieutenant?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, all right. All right, before we get started for the morning, it's been brought to my attention that there is an 803, I should say, residual hearsay exception issue.
There go my boy.
Is that going to be through this witness or is it going to be through another witness?
Your Honor, that's not an issue right for today. That's
Okay.
through another witness that may come either later this week or early next week, but we'll give the court ample time to hear that motion.
Okay. All right. Is there anything else I need to take up before we call for
You're
our
still,
jurors?
boy.
No, nothing from the state.
All right, anything from any defense counsel?
If they say something, you gonna what you call the word?
Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning, Mr. Steele.
And the microphone's not working, so, Your Honor, this is Democracy Kid.
Is this the same?
St. Jeff showed us.
Hold on, y'all. Hold up.
Sheila, too. I don't know the number.
It should be in 82. Shouldn't we be in 82? Hold up, y'all. I put it back. I thought we was in day 82. Hold on, y'all. This is one Rico that you don't need to repeat it. Hold on for 1 second. 82. I thought we was in 82. Ah, yeah. Now we at it. Now we at it, y'all.
It all starts
Yeah.
because there's
I know we did that one. I know that. Hold on, y'all. Hold on. Okay. Wait a minute now. Yeah, we at 82, 83. Now, if I see what Thug got, oh, yeah, this the right one. Y'all, we in day 82. Young Thug, I'm sorry. I know them cases now.
Mr.
And
Steele.
I know
Mr.
those Rico
Adams.
cases.
Who's that man that doesn't look like he shaves? That's sitting next to you, Mr. Adams.
Your Honor.
Oh, you were going to get to it. Okay. I noticed him immediately. So,
And you actually met him before. This is Graham, B-R-A-M, Mansbach, which is N-S-B-A-C-H.
one more time for the first name.
Yes, Graham.
Put it on him, camera.
Bravo. Bran?
B-R-A-M is the man.
Bram. Okay. All right.
That cameraman got to do better.
N-S-B-A-C-H. And he just graduated from Hamilton College. He's going to be going to law school, not this
Put it on him.
August, but the following. And I have the honor of working with him in the interim. And he's going to be before your court. With the court's permission, I already asked the sheriff here for permission, and he is here today, and I expect he'll be here.
They won't even put it
So
on
you
the
get
board.
rid of Ms. Halterwinger or what? You know, there's that one assistant rule. So, you know, you're going to have to either have physical challenge or something.
We have a physical challenge because they have to be. But anyway.
Okay, all right. Yes, it's fine, sir.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's fine. Sir, welcome. Hope you will facilitate your soon-to-be legal education, all right? Okay, welcome. All right. Mr. Kendrick and Mr. App, good afternoon. All right, Mr. Yu and Mr. Matthews Jr., good afternoon.
That my boy go.
Mr.
My son now.
Nichols and Mr. Oh, it's Mr. Westmoreland. Welcome back. Good afternoon, madam and sir. And then Mr. Ryan and Misty Williams. Good afternoon. All right. Mr. Uhelski, Ms. Love.
Yeah, I think they think Young
Ms.
Thug
Knight,
ain't paying attention. He paying
and,
attention.
Mr. Smith, good afternoon. All right, okay.
And he want to put that on their
Sergeant
hair.
and all our jurors present.
No, them boys, they had their hair retwisted.
Anything
Yeah.
you take up before we call out our jurors? All right,
Just a suggestion, I think before Sammy Davis testifies, there are multiple legal issues, discussions that need to be had.
I don't think there are. I read the order, and I'm good with the state's not gonna seek any, any,
taking up for the state.
identification. Whether or not they seek an in-court identification, I said I would take that up if that were the case. I don't know whether or not they're gonna do that, but my order's pretty clear about what I ruled upon.
I agree, Your Honor. The only thing I'm saying is, I would hope the state would give notice if they intend to seek an in-court identification, because then we would have to analyze that as far as an individual origin. There isn't one in my.
Well, remember, I didn't rule upon that because that wasn't before me. You haven't filed anything, and there's nothing for me to consider at this point in time.
Well, Your Honor, I did in the initial motion, but he wasn't here to testify, so we didn't address the independent origin. But it was speculative whether he can make the in-court identification. All I'm seeking to avoid, Your Honor, is if there is going to be an attempt for an in-court identification, I don't think there will be.
Let's find out. Are you gonna try and do an in-court identification at all, madam?
At this point, Your Honor, we don't intend to. We've not shown Ms. Davis any recent photographs of either of the defendants.
Okay.
Mr. Davis says he recognizes somebody.
Well, that's another thing. Well, I can't postulate that for them, sir. Listen, there are pros and cons with any such attempt to do so, and I'll leave that for that time.
And Your Honor, all I'm going to say is, and I have a bunch of cases, if the state is seeking to do so, burden is on them to show an independent origin outside of the jury before that needs to be litigated.
Then you need to file a motion. We covered the out-of-court identification. Remember, I couldn't rule upon the in-court identification. So if you want to particularize that, you need to file it. Okay? Okay, but that's a
File it.
That's a.
Come on, baby.
That's something you're gonna have to still posture, sir. Okay?
File. I want it. Hold on, y'all, for a minute. I wonder why is it so hard for people to do what they're supposed to do. Send an email, file, and he'll look at it. One thing people realize, they're gonna have to realize that paper is evidence. Or what's on paper is evidence. Speaking out like this is not evidence. Things that you can show is evidence. Okay.
I don't have anything before me. The state's told us that, or told you that, and all of us, that they're not gonna seek an in-court identification. Now, there's nothing which says if he recognizes somebody in the courtroom that would not be that wouldn't be proper. However, here's the other thing: you gotta lay a foundation for it, as well as there are pros and cons and risks with.
Y'all hit that like button. Get them likes up.
Goes bust. So, I'll leave it at this point in time. All right. And I'm gonna include your thank you for sending the order, Mr. Sharp, and I am gonna include it as the next course exhibit in order for the reminder. Okay. All right. Summon our jurors, please. Oh yes. This witness is not to be filmed because he has active undercover operations. Okay. All right. Summon our jurors, please.
Did you ever decide on a screen? I saw an email from Ms. Hilton to the Honorable Court, CC to us.
What kind of?
She asked for a screen, and you had concerns about it because we couldn't see, our clients couldn't see.
No, I don't. When was this sent?
Your Honor, that was for in the event that our technology being backing up. What Ms. Hilton sent, I believe, was a request that we be allowed to replace the area that is now occupied with the easels with the Mondo board in the event that there are technical difficulties. And if there were, we would simply join Zoom through the Mondo board so that everyone is able to see what is on the Mondo board. At this point, we don't have the Mondo board in court now, so it's not an issue.
I think before you do that, when it is available, you should probably try run it to see whether or not it will meet your needs and whether or not there are specific issues that need to be addressed. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So, Mr. Steele, I haven't dealt with it. Okay. All right. Summon our jurors, please. Sir.
Well, y'all need to say something about that at that time. Not wait. I don't understand people. She got on in court. Lord. Judge got a little height on him. Unless he must be standing on a stool.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. All right, thank you, Sergeant Ingram. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, good afternoon. All right, y'all sound good. Okay, keep that energy. I like that. All right, State, call your next witness. All right, some coming to executive seat. Detective T, good afternoon, sir. If you would please approach the witness stand. Once you get there, if you'd be so kind to turn and face Sergeant Ingram and be sworn as a witness, please.
Raise your right hand. We'll swear first. That's what we're going to do.
I did.
Please spell the first last name for me.
Sure.
Got our young people in the courtroom
Jason T, Jason.
trying to be loyal.
T-A-G Lee. Pull your camera on, please. Your camera. Thank you.
Good afternoon, sir. How are you?
Fine.
Detective T, where you work?
City of Atlanta Police Department.
And what do you do there?
I'm an electronic surveillance technician or / specialist in the Homeland Security Unit of the Police Department.
And how long have you worked with the APD and Homeland Security?
I've been a police officer for 26 years, in which I've been a detective for 20 years. I've been an electronic surveillance specialist since 2009.
Were you an electronic surveillance technician on January 10th, 2015?
Yes, I was.
And detective, are you full certified?
Yes, I am.
Have you ever lost your full certification?
No.
Can you tell the jury what you do as a detective and an electronic surveillance technician?
Detective in the Homeland Security Unit, basically, the Homeland Security portion of it, we deal with everything from the critical infrastructure of the city. We deal with threats on elected officials and things of that nature. And also we provide assistance for federal agencies for dignitary protection details, protectees, president and cabinet members, Supreme Court judges, whoever comes into town, that's actually a protectee. But the electronic surveillance portion of it is, I specialize in, basically surveillance means with electronics, everything from camera placement, covert and overt GPS tracking, body bugging, wiretapping, basically things of that nature.
Do you receive specialized training to become an electronic surveillance technician?
Yes, you did.
What type of training?
You go to actually multiple schools. The basic class is just the basic introduction class to it is an 80-hour class that you take and you learn everything from dealing with electricity, dealing with circuits, dealing with capacitors, dealing with recording equipment, dealing with cameras, learning about lighting, basically everything you need to do to work in the field and the basics. Then you start branching off to other specialties like installation in vehicles, which is a little bit different than installations in a
Why they ain't want to show him?
And you go off in other specialties like learning about GPS trackers, placement of them, how the system works, different softwares. Then you go off into actually this portion of it, learning video recovery, dealing with different systems, learning the methodology, how you attack different video systems, how to recover the video, and how to make the video playable for detectives to basically look at all the evidence, and so it can be presented in court. Sorry.
Can you briefly explain to the jury?
Yeah. I'm gonna skip it a little bit.
Video recovery is basically you're going into, you actually got a long conversation while pulling video.
So I want to show you, this I want to publish what's been previously admitted as stations in 292 AL. And to your left, can you tell me what's depicted in 292 AL?
The inside of the barbershop.
92 Yankee. Echo. And did you see the individual you pulled the hood from?
Yes, gentleman right here on the left.
Can you circle?
Well, on your right and our left.
Can you stand? Point the picture in for. Point right there.
Gentleman right there, above where it says Cam 3.
Oh. The second camera did you pull from?
Barbershop, I think I pulled four cameras.
And how did you decide which camera to pull from?
Detective Ford told me he needed the inside and the outside cameras.
What is the date and time of the files in the city?
The daytime we filed in the city were, January 10th.
The DVR at the barbershop was a little fast. I was like thinking about 1800, 1900 off the top of my head.
Now, when you go through a surveillance footage, do you have any way of knowing the timestamp of the footage is correct?
Yes, you can look at the footage, at live footage, and see what time it is, and just look at your watch and just tell what the offset is. And you advise the detective, say this is the offset on this one. Like some systems get off, or fast an hour behind an hour,
Smart man.
or get off some. But I always advise the lead detective on the case what the offset is.
Now, does your training and experience as an electronic surveillance technician inform you of reasons the timestamp may be off on a system like states 292 Yankee Alpha to 292 Yankee Delta?
Yes.
What are some of those reasons?
Well, some DVR systems, depending on, say, if the system was unplugged for a long amount of time, or say power outages occurred in the area, the system go off. Most of those DVR systems have a small battery in them that it's not a rechargeable battery, it's just a battery that's placed in it during manufacturing to help try to keep the time right. But knowing batteries do die over time. So the capacity of that battery to keep up the date and time is affected. Also, with DVR systems, the regular ones that you might have in your house or something, DVRs are pretty much simple computers. The main function of DVRs is to record the video, pretty much it. And that's what most of the capacity of it is toward. So things like date and time, you have to keep up with that yourself. So a lot of people, once it's plugged up, it stays that way. So they don't know. A lot of people don't have technological know-how to like go in and during daylight savings time to spring forward or fall back. And sometimes it's kind of like, the best way to describe it is how if you're old enough to have a VCR, a lot of people never programmed the clock on that VCR. It's 12 o'clock forever. It just flashed 12 o'clock. Nobody ever programmed the time. But it's kind of the same principle with a lot of DVRs.
Now, was the timestamp on each of the barbershop channel all the same?
Yes.
Why?
Because the timestamp is put on to the recordings by the DVR itself.
Now, was that timestamp accurate or was it off?
It was off. It was a little fast.
Roughly how much off was it?
I think it was like 40-something minutes fast.
How do you know?
I looked at my watch when I was there.
Now, did you tell the detective what time surveillance footage?
Yes, I did.
Did you inform the detective what the timestamp is?
Yes, I did.
Now, at this time, the state moves to admit state 292 Yankee Alpha or 292 Yankee Delta for admission. And for the record, these are the 4 cameras from the barbershop with 3 different games.
He don't know what to do. He's so lost. Welcome to the Mica. Lord have mercy. He looking around. He don't know what to do.
Any objection to states 292 Yankee Alpha through Delta? All right, hearing none. Beard, which one, or you reject all? What's the basis, sir?
And also cited to a Yancey versus State reported to the 294.
Overruled, sir. I'm going to admit them over objection. And they may be published as you see fit, Mr. Adams. I'll give you continued objection.
Knew he was gonna overrule.
They're admitted may be published as you see fit, sir.
Thank you. Commissioner Person?
Yes, sir.
Detective T, I am now showing you what has been marked as states 292 Yankee Foxtrot through 292 Yankee Kilo. These are still shots from the barbershop at 330 McDaniel Street. Did you recognize that?
Yes, there's still shots of the video that I pulled from the shop.
And are they appearing at representation of footage from the barbershop?
Yes.
Commissioner Person? At this time, the state moves to admit states exhibits 292 Yankee Foxtrot through 292 Yankee Kilo.
These
You're
some
all taking your
smart.
time, yes.
They gonna take their time, trust me. You ain't got to tell them that. They gonna check on you now. Gotta look out for my boys in the courtroom. You know, it's amazing how you take care of yourself and you don't have to run the street. And he's a diabetic. Thugger is. That's why he was skinny. He want to take care of himself.
Interjection just takes 292 Yankee Foxtrot through 292 Yankee Kilo.
Tip from the same meeting, so we have the same foundation objection, also objection to a few of it.
I'm going to overrule the objection. I'll note that a continued objection, and they're admitted and may be published as you see fit.
Thank you. Permission to approach, right?
Yes, sir.
Detective King, I'm now showing you the thumb drive containing shades exhibit 295 Yankee and 296 Yankee. First, for 295 Yankee, do you recognize it? Well, do you recognize the content of this thumb drive?
Yes, it's a video compilation.
And
The video from the barbershop in the gas station.
Let me skip a little bit, y'all. They put me to sleep. All right, here we go. This is where the gas station located at. That's on Outside Drive, I think.
Detective, do you know any of the individuals in this photo?
No.
For the record, kind of just standing around.
Yes.
They standing outside the barber shop.
Prior to, assuming occurred at this location?
Yes.
They ain't standing in the cold for nothing, y'all. Well, they used to do that. They'll stand out there in the cold and chill.
For the record, at 80147, are people kind of just like congregating around the SUV, Detective?
Yes.
Everybody working in the same spot.
The 80231, has any shots in the car?
No.
Shout out to Ghetto Brown. Y'all go over there and subscribe to his channel. Oh, I see that gray van and I see that car over there. See the gray van and that car with the lights on. I think it was about to come out. I'm gonna skip it.
No.
Did you know that was how personal?
No.
Why it take me so long to get that haircut? He back. Wait a minute. Oh, that's Uber. Tell it's the Uber. They put us in the back seat. Dog, you know, I didn't know you weren't supposed to sit in the front seat of the Uber. And I sat in the front seat of the Uber. And my niece told the people, told the man, you excuse my auntie, she ain't never rode on no Uber. She don't know she's supposed to get in the back seat. I like, oh, I'm not supposed to be up there? I didn't know it. Wow. I don't ride Uber. If I have to, I will. Thought I could get in the front seat, y'all. I don't got in the front seat. I mean, what are they doing? So what we waiting on? Them to shoot somebody? So welcome to the Young Thug Mica trial. This is 2015, y'all. In January, so you know it's cold out there.
It was 7. Yes.
You better know what he about to do. Oh, somebody shooting. Damn, let's put that bed. Let's put that bed right quick. God, somebody shot over there. And them men ain't doing it but mind their business. Why did y'all?
Yes.
Where all them cars come from?
It was 7. Yes.
Why did y'all? Woo! Wait!
For the record, it'd be 40, 808, 40, it'd be 808, 40, I'm sorry.
Somebody.
808, 41, and the shooting just take place.
Yeah, but on my monitor didn't show the shooting.
On the call?
Yeah, it jumped to 808-44. So.
Yeah, one.
Watch it, y'all. Golly.
808-40.
Yes.
That bullet just ricocheted, y'all.
From 808-40.
Out that car right there. That car did that. Well, them boys move fast, didn't they? Don't mess around. That's what you supposed to do when somebody get to shooting. You don't supposed to stand there and look. Trying to see who shot you. You supposed to duck. Look. Look at that. He went that way. Did anybody get hit? So what are we looking at now? So when they shot, did anybody get hit? Somebody had to get hit. Where they coming out that barber shop. That's where the men sing at, in the barber shop. Okay, now this is a waste of time now, Judge. Skip it. Somebody in that front seat right there. But that gray van still over there. This is like a truck thing. There they go. They must have got hit. They bad. They ain't getting in that car though. Look at them. They running away from that car.
For the record, 812-58, you see police arrival?
I see lights, right quick. I see a blur of lights. So
Yeah. He holding that door, but I be like, shut that door, man.
okay, now I see the blue lights.
For the record, 813-28, you see blue lights?
Yep.
Excuse me, y'all. There they go. I see the blue light. That means somebody got hit. Look. Man, walking around with Hitler, but look. Somebody unalive. They leaving. Now we need y'all to stay over there to witness. Come on. Where the witnesses at? I don't think they were really like targeting no one. I believe they just shot and that person just got shot. Oh, look at the police. Police running about the city of Atlanta.
Detective Chief, the surveillance video typically capture any sound?
Some do, some don't.
Did this one?
No.
Yeah, I leave him. He locked that man up. Oh, he must. Why he locking him up? They don't want you. They don't. They don't want you to ask them. Say, what I do? Somebody got killed there, y'all. If they putting that tape up, it's a crime scene. So when they shot, whoever shot over that car didn't really target the person. They were just shooting. They were shooting whoever was standing right there. And he going over to that van. So they blocking it out. So that must be Nut. That been Nut who got shot. But they didn't like targeting him though. Look. They found out they friend, they found out that their friend got shot. They upset. Look. Their friend got shot. You know they gonna be upset. Shoot. They were minding their business. Won't bother nobody, and somebody just came through there and shot. Y'all, they'll do that too. Still do it. So, still be safe out there. In the ATL. And that's what a lot of people does. They get too comfortable. You know, think can't nothing happen in the area. You know, like this is Atlanta City, not Fulton County. Don't matter. Still just can't relax. Atlanta area too fast for me. I come visit, but I can't stay over there. Them boys were minding their business out there talking. And somebody had to come, knucklehead had to come over there and start shooting. Let's say it. Right there, minding their business. Mm, mm, mm. Okay, what I'm gonna do is skip it. Let's skip it. You see that the detectives walked up.
If you only have a few $100 to invest right now, click this link right.
If I got a few $100, gonna be going in my pocket. Okay, y'all, what I'm gonna, this is a crime scene where the guys was standing outside their car, minding their business, and they wasn't doing nothing. And folks, they shoot them. And they know people like that in, in the city. Come on, bro. I don't know. Now, let's skip. We're gonna skip y'all and go right here. That boy don't know what to do here in the court with all them gangsters. They ain't none gangster, y'all. Them boy got health problem now. They don't take care of themselves. And they ain't got time for them streets no more. Them streets, that jail gonna change their life. Hopefully. Cause they done got older now. Thug taking care of himself, Thugga. Thugga take care of himself, his diabetes, why he locked up in there. He had to do what he had to do. A man had to do what he had to do for his family. He was out there working, Shoot, a hustle's a hustle. He was out there working. Look at her, get her.
So you might as well sit in your headquarters and be at ease. Okay. So once we get that resolved, we'll go ahead and continue. Okay. All right. All rise. Now she got to call and text someone. Of course. Let me check on my phone. All right, ladies and gentlemen, my jury is left issue. Have a seat, please. Recess in place. See if it, you all.
All right, y'all, let me skip it. I have to skip it. I cannot be bored. Okay, here we go.
And since arguably the defendant or defendants wouldn't have had an opportunity to cross-examine the decedent, the confrontation clause does apply in this particular circumstances when you're trying to get in residual hearsay under 807. And then the fourth issue that the court wants to discuss is it's cumulative of things that we've already been testified to. The fact that there was beef between Donovan Thomas and or some parties in this case has already been testified to by at least 3 or 4 people already. So those are 4 things I need you to address for me. And there's something I missed. Of course, I'll be more than willing to listen to it, but try that framework. So, Ms. Hilton?
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you, Your Honor. So first, I'll address the notice issue, Your Honor. We served notice for this particular testimony on May 23rd, 2024. Your Honor, we served notice based upon the line of inquiry that we are hearing regarding some of our witnesses, regarding the relationship between Mr. Williams and Mr. Donovan Thomas Jr. at the time of his death. There have been a series of cross-examination questions, and I'll go specifically when Ms. Shawana Edmond was on the stand last week, I believe last Monday. There was a line of questioning from Mr. Steele regarding the fact that at the time of Donovan Thomas Jr.'s death, that Mr. Williams and Mr. Thomas Jr. were friends. And that has been a point made by Defendant Williams through his counsel on multiple occasions and through multiple witnesses. And so what the state realized, especially after the inquiry with Ms. Edmond, that it was important for Mr. Donovan Thomas Sr., who had a different relationship with his son than what the mother had, to talk about the fact that at the time of Mr. Williams' death, they were not that friendly. What Mr. Thomas testified to is that in the summer of 2014, all the way probably through about September of 2014, there was a cordial, a good relationship between Mr. Williams, Jeffrey Williams, as well as Brian Birdman Williams. That over the course of the summer, there are some pictures that you have seen in which Mr. Donovan Thomas Jr. had went to both Miami and LA with Mr. Mr. Brian Williams, and it was a good relationship. However, in 2014, that relationship changed. And the reason or the catalyst for that change is that Mr. Donovan Thomas Jr. thought that Brian Birdman Williams was taking artists away from a record label called TIG, which is called Think It's a Game Records. Think It's a Game Records at the time was the record label that Rich Homie Quan belonged to, or the Quantas Lamar. And what Donovan Thomas Jr. began to see or observe, or what he thought, was that Birdman was trying to take Rich Homie Quan from Think It's a Game Records and bring them over to Cash Money Records. And so at that point in time, Mr. Donovan Thomas Jr. would have conversations with Rich Homie Quan about not going over to Cash Money, but staying with TIG Records. In the course of that, Mr. Donovan Thomas Jr. would have conversations with his father about the concerns that he had of Rich Homie Quan possibly going over to Cash Money and not staying with TIG. Why that is important, Your Honor, is because at the time, we believe that Jeffrey Williams was either signed to Cash Money or had a management deal with Cash Money, but he had more of a relationship with Brian Birdman Williams and the Cash Money side of the house. And so there was some conflict with Rich Homie Quan. And so we believe that in the latter part of 2014, what Mr. Donovan Thomas Sr. would testify to is that his son decided to not have as much of a relationship with both Jeffrey Williams or Brian Birdman Williams. And so he began to distance himself from the two of them. There was a specific encounter that he remembers very vividly, which was a video shoot. I believe it was Mr. Jeffrey Williams' video shoot. And when Mr. Donovan Thomas Sr. and Mr. Donovan Thomas Jr. went to the video shoot, they saw Mr. Jeffrey Williams there, they saw Brian Williams there, and they saw another TIG artist there. However, the owner of TIG was unaware of this video shoot. And at that moment, both of the Thomases left. And at that point, that's when really the tension or the frustration developed, and he did not want to deal with anything that was not TIG Records. And so we're talking about October 2014, November 2014, later in the year, that there was this distancing between the two, which is opposite of what we believe that the defense is trying to purport, that there was this great friendship in January 2015, because that was not the case. And so specifically, there are two conversations that Mr. Donovan Thomas Sr. remembers his son having with him. These were two face-to-face conversations, again, he believes it was fall of 2014, and specifically his son came to him very concerned, thinking that Rich Homie Quan was going to leave TIG Records, that he expressed to his father that he was trying to show Rich Homie Quan everything, showing him the studio that they had built for him, and really trying to convince him to stay with TIG and not go over to Cash Money Records. And the reason why that is relevant, Your Honor, is we believe one of the theories of why this murder occurred is there was a desire to have Rich Homie Quan on Cash Money Records, and two people were preventing that from happening. Corey Lamar, who's the father of the Quantas Lamar, as well as Mr. Donovan Thomas Jr. And those two individuals were preventing that from occurring. And so these conversations that he was having, not specifically towards Jeffrey Williams, but specifically towards his concern with Brian Birdman trying to steal Rich Homie Quan from TIG and bring him over to Cash Money Records. As far as this having some guaranteed trustworthiness, that's why we believe that you need to hear from Mr. Thomas yourself. generally in these hearings, Your Honor, as you are aware, the court can assess credibility from the witness itself.
Okay, let's assume that I do that. How are you going to get over the confrontation clause?
Your Honor, this is not testimonial because confrontation.
I disagree with you.
Well, Your Honor,
it is testimonial.
It's not testimonial because testimonial evidence is evidence that's made directly to the police. This is not.
Not necessarily. Not necessarily.
I'll bring some case law, Your Honor, but testimonial evidence is evidence that is made in preparation for trial, generally to law enforcement. This
Okay,
is not.
even if it's not testimonial, you still got a confrontation clause issue. How are the defendants going to?
But this is why this is residual hearsay, Your Honor, because
residual hearsay, if you're going to introduce it against the defendant, it's still got to pass the confrontation clause.
No, Your Honor, when we're talking about confrontation.
I disagree with you about that. It's got to pass the confrontation clause.
judge.
In fact, there are. You all like to slight Carlson a fair bit, so let me go back to what Mr. Carlson says about the constitutional considerations. While much of the evidence offered under 807 will pass Sixth Amendment muster, cases state that if a hearsay statement is testimonial, confrontation clause prevents its submission to trial, even if it falls within the hearsay exception, unless the declarant statement is unavailable and the defendant's had a prior opportunity to cross-examine the declarant. So the issue you're still going to have is, well, is this general confrontation of this particular witness. And then also, I'm concerned about just the nexus in terms of what you're trying to get into at this point.
I guess two things.
The nexus being that of what exactly Mr. Thomas is going to testify to. I mean, you laid out for me kind of a relationship driven or I don't see the nexus. I'm having a hard time seeing that.
Which nexus, Your Honor, so I can be clear?
The nexus in terms of what does Mr. Thomas's statements about his son, because finally you boiled it down to there's two conversations in the fall of 2014 that you want to get into. Have you reduced those to writing?
Okay, Your Honor, it's in the summary on page 44 and 45 of Mike Sprinkle's supplemental report that was turned over in Discovery. In Discovery 1 back in July of 2022.
Yeah, you need to all print that because I don't have it. So you need to print it for me. But
I will print it, but the nexus, and I want to make sure
because the nexus, I mean, because it's you're telling me that Senior had conversations with Junior. Junior was concerned that basically there was some pilfering that may have gone on in terms of artists. But what does that have to do with Mr. Williams and any of the other defendants?
Sure, specifically Mr. Williams. Mr. Williams and Rich Homie Quan were part of that group called Rich Gang. You've heard about testimony about Rich Gang in
Yes,
here.
I have.
And so at that point, Rich Homie Quan was a part of TIG Records. He was not a part of Cash Money. So they were trying, but Mr. Williams was a part of Cash Money. So yeah, TIG, Rich Homie Quan. You have Mr. Williams either loosely associated or having some more affiliation with Cash Money than Rich Homie Quan.
Associated with
Birdman, who owns Cash Money, is trying to pull Rich Homie Quan over to Cash Money. He is issue because Mr. Donovan Thomas is trying to keep Rich Homie Quan over to TIG. So there's some conflict, there's some tension there. At the end of the day, if Rich Homie Quan doesn't come over to Cash Money, they can't do everything they need to do as far as albums, as far as music, as far as any of those things. And so that can essentially affect, at least we can present that to the jury, what Mr. Williams can do at that time as far as his career, as far as what's going to happen with his career. And there's some tension and some conflict because Donovan is trying to keep him on one side and they are trying to pull him over to another side. And there's conflict and there's tension. And what Mr. Donovan Thomas expressed to his father is that he began distancing himself, not just from Birdman, but from Jeffrey Williams. The defense has continued to purport that at the time of January 2015, Mr. Donovan Thomas and Mr. Williams were great friends. That is not true.
Okay, but you've
so that's the nexus. So we have to be able to show that there's some conflict there, that we do not believe that in January 2015, they were as close as the defense is trying to purport them to be.
That's the defendant's assertion.
That's the defendant. And our assertion is that they're not. That's the defendant's
assertion, but you've also brought out the fact from numerous witnesses already that there was tension and beef between these particular parties.
Not between Donovan Thomas, though. People have talked about, but the person who can speak the best about it is Donovan Thomas Sr. because he had direct conversations with his son about his son's feelings towards these parties at the time of ending in 2014 and early 2015.
All right.
And what we talked about in testimony is conflict between Lil Wayne and Mr. Williams, not specifically Donovan Thomas. what has been purported, at least the evidence that has come out, is that Donovan Thomas, the assertion that they were friendly at the time in January of 2015. And this is in direct contradiction to it.
And even if it's not testimonial, what about the 403 consideration? It's certainly, because I do have to balance that if I do find it. So why would you think that this is not highly prejudicial, more than probative? Because, you also got, I have to consider that too.
Because, Your Honor, the state has to prove motive, and we have to prove a reason why this occurred. What defense has purported in opening, what defense has purported throughout the entire trial, there's no reason why Mr. Williams will want to have him killed. There's no reason why YSL will want to have this individual killed, and the state has to be able to prove motive. We do not have to prove motive. However, there is a reason behind, or the state believes that there is a reason behind this senseless killing. And so the state can purport and give that information to the jury. They can choose to believe it, not believe it, but we have a theory of why this occurred. And there's nothing prejudicial about Mr. Donovan Thomas Sr., speaking about his son's feelings at the time of this murder. And the conversations that he had, he doesn't say, my son said, if I die tomorrow, it was Mr. Williams. That might be prejudicial, but it is Mr. Thomas's conversation about his concern that Rich Homie Quan was going to go to another music label. There's nothing prejudicial about that statement to Mr. Williams, except for the fact that Mr. Donovan Thomas is telling his father, someone he has a close relationship with, someone who he talked to almost every day. This is the testimony that Donovan Thomas Sr. will give, is that my son came to me with a concern that someone he's mentoring, someone he has developed a relationship with, may leave this record label and go to another record label. There's nothing prejudicial to any of the defendants with that particular statement. We do believe that
what that got to do with Thugga?
Yeah, there's nothing prejudicial about that statement. In this. And I'll pause for it. I'll look up the testimonial. But again, Your Honor, I believe the testimonial will solely be if this was a statement being made for the purposes of trial, and it's not.
I still have to go trustworthiness.
Yes, Your Honor.
I still have to go through even if I don't find it to be testimony, it still has to be balanced under 403.
Yes, right. And I take this in comparison. Many of the residual hearsay cases, Your Honor, are domestic violence cases.
Oh, that's what comes up.
That's what comes up, and
but ordinarily, those are a lot more tighter in the sense that you have interplay between, unfortunately, the decedent and the victim, and you also have third parties that are very much usually around, or unfortunately see those particular, or that particular victim talks to on a regular basis.
But that is what's happening here, Your Honor. Mr. Donovan Thomas Sr. would say he talked to his son every day. He has a different vantage point. If you recall Ms. Edmonds' testimony, Ms. Edmonds knew her son, but Donovan Thomas Sr. went to video shoots with his son, went to events with his son in the music industry. So he had a very close relationship with his child, such that these conversations were very natural for them in comparison to Ms. Edmond. Ms. Edmond said, I knew certain things, but she didn't have as much detail. He spoke to his father more about what was happening on this music entertainment side. The father had been to video shoots. The father had, may or may not have to confirm, may have been in Miami when they did the lifestyle video. Mr. Donovan Thomas Sr. spoke to his son, was very involved in the fact that Mr. Donovan Thomas Jr. had created his own independent music label. Another one of his sons, Marquavius Curtis, was a part of it. So Mr. Donovan Thomas Sr. has a very more knowledge about this side of what Mr. Thomas was doing versus.
I understand.
Did you find those? Can I see those?
Yes, Your Honor. Permission to approach?
Yes. I'm just going to read them. I'm just going to read them in the record so that we have them for consideration.
Okay, yes, Your Honor. It starts at the end of page 44 and turns over to page 45.
All right, your hand to Mr. Kearns.
You can't use nothing on the phone, baby. It has to be on paper. See, this is supposed to be given to the, but they already dismissed the jury. Okay, but
This is a
The last sentence on page 44, Judge.
Okay, what am I looking at to begin with? This is Mr. Sprinkle's, what is it?
So Mr. Sprinkle, back in 2016, met with met with Donovan Thomas Senior, about.
So this is a report from Mr. Sprinkle.
Correct. But
Okay, and where does it go from? Am I supposed to consider on August the 2nd, 2016?
Yeah, when you said you wanted to read, yes, August 2nd, 2016.
Through what?
And then it goes all the way up to page 45. The last
45.
Word is them.
Oh, okay.
You don't have to read that stuff. Well, he's not gonna sit there and read all 45 pages, already, is he? That's a lot of pages. Come on, Judge. Let me skip it.
You haven't heard it with clarity. If you're talking about Miss Edmonds.
Clarity, I remembered it, so why wouldn't it be cumulative? I'm just asking it, because I'm sure Mr. Steele's gonna ask you that same question in just a second. He's gonna say it's cumulative of things that we've already testified to. So what's distinguishing about this?
Because when I heard what I believe some of the testimony that came out last week with Miss Edmond, that was not clear. I believe that there was a thought that Kelvin and Donovan were actually brothers. They are not. They share a brother.
But you all, through your examination, distinguished and pulled that out and clarified it. So
it was not, Your Honor. It was not distinguished that they are not actually blood related.
Well, you all being the state asked a lot of clarification questions because it was kind of confusing to begin with, and you all kind of bared that out.
That's right.
I mean, that's from my memory of just listening to the testimony. So what's still kind of I would say unclear.
So in addition to that, I think the state and the court sees that clarity of their relationship differently, but if the court believes that it was clear, we can move on. The next portion of that is Donovan Thomas, his aspect of the music industry, what he was doing in the music industry, the fact that he had his own entertainment label, that testimony has not come out.
Okay, that hasn't come out in terms of what, so his dad's, I guess the development of his business and what he was doing.
Correct. That under his label was his brother initially, which was Greedy.
Okay.
Also about certain individuals, Gervin Fly Henry.
Who, I'm sorry?
Gervin Fly Henry.
Gervin?
Gervin, Girvin.
Okay.
Henry, who is the owner of TIG Records. The father has knowledge of the beginning of that relationship, how that relationship started, when that relationship started, what Mr. Donovan's role was as far as securing artists for that label specifically. He brought Rayshawn Bennett to TIG Records. That's the person also known as Lucci. So that testimony has not come out yet.
No, okay, all right.
In addition to that, Your Honor, he can talk more specifically about his son's relationship with the Quantes Lamar. The Quantes Lamar, DEQUANTES, also known as Rich Homie Quan. Again, he can speak to Mr. Donovan Thomas Jr.'s relationship with Rayshawn Lucci Bennett. That's going to be relevant because testimony will be forthcoming that Rayshawn Lucci's home was shot up after Donovan Thomas was murdered. Mr. Donovan Thomas can also speak about, again, the relationship between Donovan Thomas Jr. and Mr. Jeffrey Williams.
How?
From his observations.
From his observations.
He'll also be able to speak about the relationship between Brian Birdman Williams and Donovan Thomas Jr.
Well, we can't believe him.
Again, what I just talked to the court about as far as the summer of 2014, what was happening.
Well, go back to Brian Birdman Williams and Donovan Thomas Jr. Is that what you said?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. All right.
In addition to that, what I spoke about earlier, Your Honor, Mr. Donovan Thomas Jr. can talk about what was happening in the summer of 2014. He will testify that the relationship between Mr. Donovan Thomas Jr. and Mr. Jeffrey Williams, as well as Mr. Donovan Thomas Jr. and Mr. Brian Berman Williams, was cordial, was good, that, Mr. Donovan went to video shoots and things were good. He will testify to that.
Yeah.
But he will also testify that in the fall of 2014, that began to change specifically for Mr. Donovan Thomas Jr.
Why did it change? Maybe he made that decision
And
on
then
his
that is,
own.
again, the
Y'all
conversation
better
that
watch
I'm speaking
them.
of, the hearsay conversation. It's sometime around again October or November is the conversation that I talked about where Donovan Thomas Jr. expressing his father some concern about Rich Homie Quan leaving. And then the second conversation, Your Honor.
Yeah, but and you said that the two conversations, but what I would like to see is, or something, or hear is what exactly those conversations were. I think there's some predicate stuff that maybe that's from a.
The daddy might not like Birdman. The daddy might not like
to hear
we.
to put certain things in context.
Since his son is alive.
Make some further determinations. You would probably need to reduce exactly what you're trying to get Mr. Thomas Sr. to say.
That's
That would
right.
be important.
Is it possible he is prepared, and we were prepared to bring him in to testify? Because for the court, my experience is in motions that witness will come and testify, so you can hear directly from his mouth what the conversation is. So I don't.
Well, that's his opinion.
Okay, well,
he's prepared to come
bring him
tomorrow morning.
in.
We can make him available.
Okay, all right. Thank you. I'll give you more than 5 minutes, probably about 30. Mr. Steele?
Long as the defender can respond back, because y'all won't even let them say nothing.
That's okay. Take your time, sir. Ms. Hilden and Ms. Love, can you all send Ms. Weaver the pages from the case supplemental report, pages 44 and 45, for purposes of the motion? Right. No, okay, yes, that's fine, when you get it. Oh, it's up now, okay. Yeah, it's up now, we have it now. Okay, so I'm gonna give you all this back, so you can have it. But if you all could send the court, yes, please make it the next court's exhibit, Christine, thank you. All right, so I'm listening.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Good afternoon, everyone. Your Honor, I ask you to not permit any statements under OCGA section 24-8-807 for the following 4 reasons. First of all, the notice itself is late. I don't have any, I'm going to hear for the first time when you hear for the first time, I guess tomorrow, what the exact statements are. That violates the law, and that is cited. And I put all this in my motion or response for Mr. Williams.
Do you have a copy of that, sir?
I could email it to you if I don't have a hard copy.
You still emailed it to all of us?
Yes, on Friday, this past Friday.
So I have your response. So what do you like me to look at?
Well, the first paragraph, in paragraph 2 actually, cites Carter and Brooks, and OCGA section 24-8-807, Georgia courts have adopted the 11th Circuit, and they call it the last resort. That's a quote unquote attempt by a party to introduce hearsay evidence and should be used, and this is a quote from the cases, very rarely, and only in exceptional circumstances, and only when there exists certain exceptional guarantees of trustworthiness and high degrees of probativeness and necessity. So I don't believe that in this case, the state can meet that requirement. In addition to that, in paragraph 3, Your Honor, under Snyderman, SNEIDERMAN versus state, that's 336 Georgia Appeal, 153, that's in footnote 7. 784 Southeast 2D18, it's all in my motion, my response, 2016. It was overruled on other grounds. But specifically, the state should have given this notice before trial. They did not. And they're supposed to give exactly what you're asking for now. What are the statements? They did not do that. They never said before their Thursday filing of last week that they're seeking to admit this, these statements under 24-8-807. So that has been violated. The next one is the statute itself. It's in paragraph 4. OCGA section 24-8-807 requires, among other portions of the test, that the hearsay statement is more probative on the point for which is offered than any other evidence which the proponent can procure through other reasonable efforts. The proponent in this case is the state of Georgia. And Your Honor, the way I understood what you were just told, we're talking about that Rich Homie Quan was trying to be led away from TGI Studios record label to go over to Cash Money Record. TGI Studios is owned by a gentleman, as the Honorable Ms. Hilton said, named Girvin, G-I-R-V-E-N, maybe wrong, Henry, like the King Henry. He's on the state's witness list. He's available. They gave me a phone number for him. Rich Homie Quan is named Mr. Lamar. DeQuantis Lamar is spelled earlier. He's on the state's witness list for this series of witnesses. Mr. Brian Birdman Williams is on the state's witness list. So it is hard to swallow that the state passes the statute itself in 807 that states that the state cannot get this information from someone else with reasonable efforts. What they're saying is that Rich Homie Quan is being courted by two different record labels. Yeah. Well, they have the record label people right here and Rich Homie Quan, or excuse me, Mr. Lamar, his performer known as Rich Homie Quan. So I ask you for all of that, for all those reasons so far, to deny their motion. In addition, they wanted to explain about a relationship between, through hearsay, Donovan Thomas Jr., God forbid, deceased, and Rashawn Bennett. Rashawn Bennett is on the state's witness list. He already pled guilty in another case in this courthouse, and there's no reason that he can't be a witness in this case. So again, the state has other reasonable alternatives through reasonable efforts. And then, Your Honors, paragraph 5 is what they put forth, they being the state of Georgia, in the Thursday late notice. And they say what the supposed statements are, and they really don't give very good statements. So I guess tomorrow is going to be the real notice. So I'm objecting to the late notice. Then in paragraph 6 of our response, Your Honor, Mr. Williams' response, this is a new case. It was decided May 15, 2024, but it's not new law, but it just happened to be here. And it's Hall, H-A-L-L versus state, and I cited it. It's too new, so the case number is A is in Elisa Alpha Appeal. 24A is in Elisa Alpha Appeal 0568. It was decided May 15, 2024. And what they're talking about, the courts are saying that under 24-8-807, it's supposed to be so rarely used, and there has to be such circumstances which give guarantees of trustworthiness that it's the equivalent, Your Honor. You have to find this as equivalent to either a cross-examined former testimony or statements under a belief of impending death or statements against interest or statements of personal or family history. None of that is here. So for all those reasons, I ask you to, right now, without even hearing from Mr. Thomas tomorrow morning, that the state just utterly failed the test. You know, the law gives us our rules, whether we like them or not. The law gives us our rules, and the state here did not give proper notice. I heard your concerns at the beginning, Your Honor. You said the first one was notice, the second one is guarantees of trustworthiness and inherent bias. I've answered those two, I believe. The next one is what is said exactly. That's part of the notice. I don't know. The next one is there's no cross-examination of deceased, which triggers confrontation clause. And you're right, and Mr. Hilton's right. I agree with Ms. Hilton that testimonial evidence is evidence that is going to be used for prosecution, just like you did in the Pitts case. But
in this case, the statements are found in Mr. Sprinkle's report, which is a prosecutor's report made for the purposes of prosecution.
And also, we can't cross-examine the deceased. So I'm stuck with the father who, you know, and I feel terrible for the man. I mean, everyone feels nothing but sympathy for that family. I mean, we saw the video. I mean, it's outrageous. But how do we get a fair trial by cross-examining the father on statements made by the deceased, supposedly made, when the real witnesses are here anyway? So I can't get over the confrontation clause issue. We should have the right to cross-examine Mr. Girvin, Mr. Bennett, Mr. Lamar, Mr. Birdman, Brian Birdman Williams. And then you asked about cumulative, because the beef was already testified to. And the state responded that, no, not really. And I challenge that because I sit here attentive every day, and I go back and I review notes every single day. Detective Gaither said that this beef, that's what it's been called, goes back to October of 2014. Detective Dennis said this beef goes back to 2014. Over strenuous objection, this honorable court allowed, based upon your investigation, witness after witness say, we had a shooting here, we had a drive-by here, this is the victim and this is the person. In this case, people from YSL were the victim. Mr. Shannon Stillwell was the victim. The person next to him got killed. In this case, the
That's
victim
right.
was IF people, and the defendants are people who are associated with YSL. So, Your Honor, I will answer any of your questions, but I am objecting under the law, and if the state really wanted this to come in, they should have just done what you tell us to do, what everyone tells us to do, just follow the rules. And they've all been broken, and we're getting noticed during trial. And I don't think that's something that the courts overlook. I mean, we will obviously go with whatever you say, but to me, there are real witnesses here who can testify. If Donovan Thomas was concerned that Rich Homie Quan is getting courted by Birdman Williams, Rich Homie Quan is a better witness than Donovan Thomas's father. If Rich Homie Quan is concerned that Jeffrey Williams is trying to get him over to Cash Money Records, Rich Homie Quan is a better witness than the father of Donovan Thomas Jr. Those are my...
my question being is, I think he can... they're trying to get Senior, the father of Donovan, to testify about the relationship between his children and that. And I have some... I believe that's been testified to, but I think he could probably give some background and fill in some.
But he can't tell you nothing about
between his children and those folks.
his relationship.
I guess my second thing is with Donovan Thomas and Mr. Garvin Henry. Is Mr. Henry available as a witness?
Yes. I've spoken with him. The state has him on their witness list. I have good contact information for him. The state gave me the contact information that I have.
All right, and Mr. Quentin Lamar, who's I get Rich Homie Quan State James, is he available? Is he on?
He's already been subpoenaed. The state filed a subpoena. It came up on whatever we get. We get a copy of the.
What about Rashawn Bennett?
He's unfortunately the most available because he's in your custody. Not your custody. He's in the custody of the state of Georgia prison system.
Okay.
So a production order can get him here.
All right, and Brian Birdman Williams
He's on the state's witness list. I've spoken with him as well. He's available.
Okay. All right.
He's out of state.
They scared to use them.
I'm not really sure, actually.
Them who y'all need to use.
I'm not sure. I don't want to speak for where the gentleman is, but he's available.
All right. Okay. Yes, Mr. Steele, thank you.
No, thank you, Your Honor.
Okay.
So I'm going to briefly respond to three specific portions. I heard Mr. Steele say, well, it's a confrontation clause. I believe the court said, well, that's a statement made to Mr. Sprinkle. The statement that we are looking to, Your Honor, is not the statement that Mr. Donovan Thomas Sr. told Mr. Sprinkle. It is what the declarant, who was a deceased individual, spoke to his father. And I want to point the court specifically to Rivers v. State, which is 77 Federal 3rd, 1306, which is an 11th Circuit 2015 case. Sure, Rivers v. State, or River v. United States, excuse me, 777 Federal 3rd, 1306, at Penn site 1313.
Okay.
And what that says, Rule 807 analysis must consider whether the statements have guarantees of trustworthiness given the circumstances under which they were made. We examine the trustworthiness of the declarant who originally made the statement, not the trustworthiness of the witness reciting the statement. So again, we're looking not to what Mr. Donovan Thomas Sr. told Mike Sprinkle, but what did Mr. Donovan Thomas Jr. tell his father? And the reason why Rich Homie Quan, Gervin Fly Henry, and Birdman are not the individuals to speak to that is because they don't have the same relationship that Donovan Thomas Jr. has with his father. And so when we're looking at the case analysis,
But the father is not a good witness.
as far as trustworthiness is what is the relationship between the declarant and the person who's going to come and tell the court or the jury what the statement was. So Rich Homie Quan does not have the same level of a relationship that Mr. Donovan Thomas Jr. had with his father. He spoke to his father every day. He didn't speak to Rich Homie Quan every day. He spoke to his father every day. He didn't speak to Gervin Fly Henry every day. He didn't speak to Birdman every day. So when you're looking at determining the trustworthiness, it is
let's get some of these stars
the declarant is speaking to. And specifically, I want to cite to the case that Mr. Steele actually cited in his motion, which is the Hall v. State case, Your Honor. And specifically on Penn site 15 of that particular opinion, there's two cases that the court cites. One is Ash v. State, which said that statements had sufficient guarantee of trustworthiness where the witness and declarant had a close relationship and talked to each other daily. That is the distinction as to why Birdman, Rich Homie Quan, Lucci, and Gervin Fly Henry cannot come in here to speak to the jury about what Donovan Thomas Jr. said to his father. They had a very different relationship, Your Honor.
Of course, they're gonna have a different
Those
relationship.
individuals speak about their own.
Cause that's his father, but he don't know.
during
He
this
really know
time
his
with
business.
Jeffrey Williams. They can speak to their own relationship as it relates to.
Not really. Not really.
The Quantum Lamar can talk about his own feelings about deciding where to go, but he cannot speak to what Donovan Thomas said about what Donovan Thomas thought and
His daddy couldn't
with his
either.
father. That I'm sure that the defense would object if we try to bring in hearsay statements to Rich Homie Quan about Donovan Thomas Jr. And then second, and finally,
speak up.
Mr. Steele testified, or not testified, just argued that there has been testimony about the beef between YSL and IFGang. That's very general. What we are talking about, again, is very specific, in which Mr. Williams, through his counsel, has asserted that in January 2015, Mr. Williams and Donovan Thomas had a very close relationship, or were very friendly. This testimony, we believe, will show opposite of that, that in January 2015, they were not as close as as they have been purporting during their cross-examination of many of the state's witnesses.
Ash.
Sure, Ash v. State.
I'm looking at Hall right now, so you
Okay.
Well, the only thing that the dad could testify is what his son told him, but we don't. He got to be able to testify when we got to respond, right? You know, when the defense come up there and said, "I really children don't tell their parents everything." Donovan didn't tell his mama. He probably told his mama more than he told his daddy. Sometimes boys tell their mom a lot of things than they do the dad. And sometimes they don't tell the mom everything. But then they don't tell the dad everything either. Because he's private in some area. So really, what are we bringing the father in? Bring some of these stars in. The only reason why they don't want to bring them guys in there, because they think that they're gonna be on Young Thug's side. But how? If y'all said that Donovan had a problem with Young Thug and Homer, these names homie, whatever his name, homie something. I ain't gonna read. I'm not trying to remember their name. Oh Lord Jesus, help me, honey. Let me skip it because they're getting quiet. Okay, y'all, I skipped it, okay? Keep looking at that at Young Thug for.
We also have a recording, Your Honor, it's about 8 minutes. And I know this is a synopsis of it, but I think the actual part of the recording, I believe, is the actual statement. Yes, on page 44 and 45, and then the actual recording is about 8 minutes long in discovery. You want to see what I'm talking about?
Yeah, if I can go over because my page 44. deal with criminal still.
Is yours 140 pages?
My boy there. Look at my boy. Get it together, y'all. Get it together. Take your time. Shout out to the Real Deal and her subscribers and those who've been following me with this trial from day one. Okay, it's been a very complicated recall, but we're gonna work in. Y'all, before y'all come into people chat, I always read the title. The title is up there for a reason, okay? Don't that is rude to come in somebody's chat to ask them what trial is this, and you can read it. That's rude. You know what trial it is. Don't do that. Do your thing over there where you at. And if you've been paying attention, we're on day 82 of this trial. And y'all should know what trial I do, what the Real Deal do and been doing. Keep up with me. All right, y'all, they almost finished, but they trying to get the paperwork together, okay? I'm going to skip it a little bit. Then I'm going to do my hair. I got to do my hair. I got to go to work Friday. I like to see the defense and the prosecution team they're not working together, but they're having a lot of understanding, being understanding, but I don't think that, okay, it's okay as the father come in the court, to tell, how his son feel and think like that. But you really can't, it's up to the jury in a way. So bringing the dad in, just because the dad went to the
that Mr. Lamar was going to leave his current record label and move to another record label. Mr. Thomas Jr. thought that the new record label was going to take advantage of Mr. Lamar, and he wanted to prevent that from happening. Additionally, Mr. Thomas Sr. will discuss his son distancing himself from Jeffrey Williams and Brian Williams during the latter part of 2014. The state has also indicated that they wish to get into several groupings of conversations between Mr. Thomas Sr. and Mr. Thomas Jr., Mr. Thomas Jr. being the decedent. One is his children, and there are several groupings of children that we've heard involving Shell, Kel, and Greedy, and Miss Cave. I'm just using that for purposes of our discussion. I want to make sure that I covered that, at least in some pertinent part. The other areas are Donovan Thomas Jr. and Mr. Garvin Henry. Third grouping, Rich Homie Quan. Fourth grouping, LaShawn Lucci Bennett. Fifth grouping, Jeffrey Williams. Sixth grouping, Brian Birdman Williams. Seventh grouping, the relationship or conversations, two pertinent conversations in the fall of 2014. I want to distinguish that because I have to, for purposes of making a determination that will be potentially reviewed, is that under Rule 807, and I'm quoting from Hall versus the state, Chief Judge Mercier writing this opinion. Under Rule 807, a trial court's decision to admit hearsay evidence is reviewed for abuse of discretion, Tanner versus the state, 301 Georgia 852, pinpoint 856. An appellate court should be particularly hesitant to overturn a trial court's admissibility ruling under the residual hearsay exception, absent a definite and firm conviction that the court made a clear error of judgment in the conclusion it reached upon weighing of the relevant factors. And the relevant factors are the three factors of that the court entered. I talked about earlier. The statement is offered as evidence of material fact. The statement is more probative on the point on which is offered than any other evidence which the opponent can produce through reasonable efforts. And three, the general purposes of rules of evidence in the interest of justice will best be served by admission of the statement into evidence. And that's Thompson versus the State, 302 Georgia 533. As a general matter, the trial court does not abuse discretion by admitting evidence when the requirements of OCGA 24-8-807-123 are met, and the trial court concludes that the statements in question have sufficient guarantees of trustworthiness because of the circumstances under which they were originally made, and that's Rawls, R-A-W-L-S versus the State, 310 Georgia 209, pinpoint.
And after he finishes reading, see, he's going to be ready to go home.
Factors to be considered with regard to the admissibility of these statements include a consideration of the trustworthiness of the original declarant.
Look at him. He over there. Boy, you better sit your head up. This is your Rico. Better pay attention.
Equivalent in significance to the specific hearsay exceptions
down on the
in
desk.
Federal Rules of Evidence 803 and 804.
I don't understand it. He over there with his head down on the desk. Anybody in this Rica trial need to have their head up, sitting up, and listening, paying attention. And don't depend on your lawyer. Write this stuff down yourself. So when you take
Therefore, such guarantees must be equivalent to
read
cross-examined former testimony. Statement. It's very much distinguishing because we had the benefit of looking at what the decedent actually was saying and weighing it in terms of the trustworthiness. In this particular circumstance, the court does not find that it has the same guarantees of trustworthiness. So I'm going to grant the defense's motion to exclude these statements under 807.
Good.
807. However, the only, and let me make that very clear. I'm not going to permit the conversations about the two relationships and the two conversations in the fall of 2014.
Good.
I'm not going to talk about his children. You can certainly clarify the relationships between Marquavius Greedy, Shellcow, and Sequoia Cove. Certainly those would be probably relevant, but the other ones in terms of Mr. Donovan Thomas, Garvin Henry, Rich Homie Kwan, LaShawn Lucci Bennett, Jeffrey Williams, Brian Birdman Williams would not be admissible at this point in time. But however, you can lay foundation as to the relationship of his children. I certainly think
you better not disrespect it, Judge.
That would be relevant and material. That's not saying as well, as was mentioned earlier, if the state decides to call with the exception of Mr. Jeffrey Williams, the other parties in this particular case for their relationships that may or may not be relevant. You certainly may. I'm not in any way telling you cannot call those particular witnesses for other
that's
purposes.
what he meant.
Mr. Steele, I'll have you, if you would please do a suitable order for my signature. Send that to your colleagues from the state, please.
Can I get clarity? Is it just that Mr. Donovan Thomas cannot speak about what his son told him, but he can speak about his own observations? Because hearsay is what someone says. So I want to be clear that Donovan Thomas Sr. cannot speak about what his son told him, but he has his own personal observation of what he saw.
But you have to lay a foundation as to that.
Sure, correct.
But, but I'd say you tread carefully, okay?
I won't have him talk about anything that anyone said. I believe he can talk about his own personal
He
observation.
certainly can testify about that as long as you lay a predicate
Long as he
foundation.
don't.
Certainly, that would certainly not be under the realm of
That's right.
impossibilities, okay?
Long as you don't say nothing about
Anything else,
what.
folks?
Yes, Your Honor, just real briefly on that topic.
No, just no. Okay, stop talking. Stop talking. Now, what does he want to tell me?
I'll be very brief. I know that the state indicated that they wanted to talk about the family relationship or the children or something of that nature. I'm just a little concerned about how that might impact the victim impact issue with respect to what's relevant regarding the issues at hand versus background with respect to relationships. So
They don't talk about the feelings of loss or anything like that, but I think that they want to get into because remember when we were talking, Ms. Hilton was talking about earlier, we had another witness talk about whose child was who and what That needed, and then I mean, they eventually clarified it, but I think that would probably be okay to explain.
As
what
long as
relationships
they don't, he
if
don't
can,
mention
Mr.
what his
Senior,
son.
Mr. Donald Thomas Senior. But as long as he doesn't testify about the loss of his child and violate victim impact, yes, I think that would be appropriate. Thank you. Okay. Anybody else? Mr. Steele, will I rule completely on your motion? Okay. All right, sir, if you could just have a written response within about a week, is that fine? Okay. All right. Any clarifications as to what you can and cannot talk about in regards to Mr. Thomas Senior?
My understanding, he can't talk about what anybody else said.
That's right. And he can't talk about what conversations he had with his son. Okay, but
Correct.
he can testify about what his observations were. He can certainly testify about what his
Children.
relationships with his children.
Children, that's
Okay,
right.
but these other folks,
He cannot talk about home return from in
But he can talk about his observation that he's seen with these other people.
if you can lay a foundation.
Yes, I believe
For
it.
example, if he doesn't know or he doesn't have any, for example, conversations about Donald Thomas, and then you got to really think about why are you asking about that?
Yeah.
What? Because it
Why?
may get you into hot water. So I'm just telling you, just tread lightly, okay?
Thank you.
Okay, folks, unless you have anything else, at this point in time, thank you for your patience, and we will.
Now the judge. Here come the judge. Here come the judge. Everybody see that. Here come the judge. Judge got a little fighting in the day, y'all. Now that's good. I'm glad he ruled on that part right there. Because you can't just because your mom said what your mom can't say, he can't get on there and say his son is not here to defend himself. So that means that he can't get up here and say what his son said, and his son might not have said that. I'm so glad the judge looked into that law and that. And
see you all tomorrow morning, 9:30 for an anticipated 10 o'clock start.
Look, y'all make sure those been following me. You know, we've been on this case. We on day 82. We ain't just started on this case. Been floating from day one. Okay. I need to hear from y'all. Y'all doing a good job of putting y'all reaction down now, down and about each day. Whatever you do, if you talk or speak on each day, okay, what happened each day, not what I said, because those are my opinion, but what you think, you know, and allege, and there was a pretty good day 82. There was pretty good day 82, and I would try to get into my subscriber mode only because I know that the people that it's a subscriber of mine, so don't come here and ask me no question. What are we talking about? We already motivated to where we already see the title, so you can tell people who from other channels. If you're from another channel and you want to know what's going on, hey, read the title, y'all. Don't let nobody know you're a content creator and you don't read, or you're a person you don't. You know, you're not reading the title, okay? That's the reason why we put a title there. So y'all won't have to come in here and ask us no slick question. What trial is this? Come on, read. It's told you in the content what trial is this, okay? If you haven't been following it, just listen to it. I'm out of here, y'all. This has been your girl, the real deal Anita Gill. Shout out to my subscribers. I love y'all. I'm out.